Oh, we're being live streamed.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us
Live
today
stream.
on the Pork and Bean Show. My name is Port Cunningham. I'm here with my distinguished, honorable co-host, the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Baines. Picture perfect, you see. Well,
we never really had that much class when we started, and we haven't improved as far as I can see.
I think actually we probably digressed a little bit, but
I like the Beatles in the background there.
yeah. All you need is love, baby.
Hell yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Hell yeah.
That's the Sasquatch core truth is love. So anyway, we are joined today by Odessa, Roberti.
Yes.
Okay, like the little birdies, like tweet, Rockin' Robin, right? Rockin' Robin.
Right on.
Hey, Rockin' Robin, because you really got me rockin' tonight. Oh, we sing a little bit too.
Well, I sing too, so you know.
And if you want to sing a story or something, just go for it. Or just if you just want to sing, just if you feel like
spiritual.
You know, I actually will go out in the woods and sing and tone while I'm out there. And you'd be amazed at what happens and a lot of times I'll sing worship music.
Yeah.
And they're very responsive to that for some reason. They seem to have a spiritual nature to them.
Oh, definitely. Absolutely, they do. Yeah, no question about it. And anything with high vibration, because I mean, I've discovered when I host my campouts and stuff, if we're talking about the world today and doom and gloom and and all this deception and division and all this stuff, Sasquatch don't come anywhere near us.
Nope.
Even if we're all connected to them, they just. But as soon as we start talking about high energy, high vibration, love, and stuff like that, they're there. So
I was talking to a friend of mine the other day because I grew up with the knowledge of forest people. My father, Kumastar, he was American Indian, he was Apache and Cherokee. So I grew up knowing that these beings existed. And I was talking to a friend the other day and I said, they really do know your intent. They know your whatever it is you're feeling, they will pick up on that, and I said and I know that it seems like there's been more sightings lately, more UFO sightings, more paranormal things going on, more than ever before. And I don't know if it's just because it's becoming more visible because that veil is starting to get really thin, or if it's just maybe people are just talking about it more. But when all this chaos in the world, the way it is affecting us as human beings, our emotion, our levels change constantly with everything that's going on and with all the chaos. I said, it's got not only does it affect us, it has to be affecting them because they have to be picking up on all this negativity, and it's causing something in the others, if you know what I mean.
To come forward, you mean?
I'm talking in the spiritual aspect, the spiritual realm, the dimensional realm. I'm talking about everything. Force people, the ones that are here on this plane, this dimension, the ones between dimensions, all this energy. I think it's affecting not only us as human beings, but it's affecting. There's a lot of chaos in this world right now. I mean, I'm going to be 48. I've never seen as much division and I never thought I would live to see it, you know? So as much as it affects me, I'm sure it affects other people and forest people, spiritual. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dimensional
Yeah,
beings.
absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a ripple effect.
We all affect each other because we're all energy, right?
Exactly. So there's this ripple effect going on, and it's affecting all aspects of this world and interconnected worlds and realities.
Well, I mean, this division isn't by accident or coincidence. I mean, how do you control people? By making them think that they're separate, by making them think they're different, by making them feel that they're scared of them because they're not like them or whatever. You know, fear, division. It's easy to control the masses with that, right? So
right, exactly.
It's just a great big lie that we have to realize that, wait a minute, this isn't true. And I think people are starting to wake up, you know, and it's because the chaos and the division and the things that are going on in the world today are so blatant and so on our face that, you know, like eventually you're going to say, wait a minute, something.
Exactly.
And then, you know, it's even more obvious with the media and how connected we are through the media and whatever. So it's accessible to everybody. So it can't be hidden. So it's actually, you know, always darkest before the light. And so I think that this darkness is actually a blessing. You know, I look at it as tough times, but exciting times, because I think there's transition coming, right?
There's big time transition coming. I absolutely believe that. And I don't know, you know, what your spiritual nature or philosophies or beliefs are, but, you know, I'm a Christian, but just reading the book of Revelations and what's going on and what's predicted in Revelations, it's like I truly believe I'm watching this unfold before my eyes. And there are things that are coming that if we think it's bad now, like it's going to get worse. And it's all this division. We have to find a way past it, because it's only in unity and, you know, brotherhood and sisterhood that we're going to be able to stand against whatever it is that's coming, because something's been awakened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I got a quick announcement. It's been a little over 7 minutes that we started the show, and we've already got 24 comments and 19 shares. And that's like some kind of hello, everybody. Just want to say hi to all the people out there that just tuning in and watching. This is fabulous. Some kind of
hello, everybody.
So thanks everybody for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we've already peaked out. We've already.
Did you have fun? It was good, eh? No, just kidding.
I've been sharing all day. I've been sharing the show all day and in multiple groups.
James, Roy Stubblefield, Steve Riley. You got a lot of people out there.
Hey, Steve, how are you? Hey, Roy.
Okay, so
I have to can I excuse myself for 2 seconds? I promise you I'll be right back. Hold on 1 second.
We're in our own world.
Yeah. I wonder, can I say tinkle? I bet you she's got a tinkle. That's ladies do that a lot.
Randy points.
Is that appropriate to say?
Does it matter?
No, I guess it doesn't. Yeah, this is the pork and bean show after all. No, it doesn't matter. But yeah.
I got Alfred Santargia and all kinds of people in here. So
I'm seeing people I've never seen before. So Odessa must have sent these people our way.
Great. Now, okay, just since the last talk to you, now it's got 31 comments. A lot of people saying hello. So Odessa is loved. The love is raining in on Odessa.
How did that go? Soon you'll be making another run.
Yeah.
The love boat. Something exciting for everyone.
Yeah.
I remember that show.
Captain Stubler. That was that's probably the worst show on TV other than the Brady
Bunch.
Bunch.
Horrible. It was horrible.
The Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island are the two worst shows ever.
I watched
Yeah, well, at least
Gilligan's Island for a
is
little bit, but
campy.
I was more Dukes of Hazzard, Grizzly Adams. What was the other guy? BJ and the Bear.
I don't even remember that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. There was this truck driver and he drove around with a little monkey. It was great. It was such a great show. But that's what I grew up at. And Little House on the Prairie.
Nah, that's a girly show.
Yeah, I could have done without Little House on the Prairie, but we literally had 3 channels, back in the day, black and white TV. So
Is that with or without the aluminum foil?
So we're going to get into your story, but I'm very interested now. So on the 3 channels, what were your choices of shows? At the time you were watching Little House, what were your choices?
Dukes of Hazzard and Grizzly Adams. Like, we would hang by the house, and if one of us would yell, Grizzly Adams we'd come running from all directions to the house, and we would plant in front of that TV and we would watch Grizzly Adams. And then, the next one would be the Dukes of Hazzard is on. And then we'd all come running. And that was our form of fun because we grew up poor. We lived in like this one house we lived in where I had one of my very first encounters. I was about 5 years old. Was I in first grade or kindergarten? I was in kindergarten. And, but that house was fantastic. We had one of my first encounters there, but no running water. Like, we literally had a cistern outside by the barn where we'd have to go and carry jugs of water. My mom bathed us in the sink. Like, when I say we grew up, like, we literally walked down this mountain road to go to school every day. And we'd leave at night, 2 little kids by ourselves down the road, and then come back out at the end of the day. So, when people say, when I was a kid, I had to walk 2 miles downhill and uphill and both ways to school. We actually did that, except it was to a bus stop. So,
you mean you didn't have to go uphill both ways like our parents did?
No, it was just downhill and then uphill.
What I mean, always made it sound like it was like.
Yeah, like you never know the troubles of when we were kids. No, it was wonderful. We had some of the best experiences. We were always out in the woods, which is why my father taught us so much about the forest people growing up, was because we were always out in the woods. And the one thing he said is never fear them. Like, never, like, they're your protectors. They will take care of you. They will protect you. They will, don't fear them. But then there's others to watch out for.
Well, let's go right back to the beginning then. Okay. So you're a little girl and your dad introduces you to the forest people. Run us through it chronologically, kind of how you became aware of them, what your father thought of them, his experiences with them, what he taught you about that kind of stuff. And then, what you experienced.
Well, my dad had always told us stories about Sasquatch and about Dogman, or we called them wolf people, or forest people. And, if you come across something or you see something in the woods that's not deer, it's not bear, it's not this, it's not that, and it's bipedal, it's a forest person, don't fear it. But I had never seen anything. So this one particular day, my brother and I, we're walking down this mountain road to the bus stop, and we hear all these footsteps, like breaking branches, always on the bank, which going down, it's on the left, coming up, it's on your right. So, but you could never see anything. You'd see like a shadow, and we would say to my dad, like, something's following us, like, through the woods. And he's like, no, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. You're safe. You're safe. So this one particular day, it was like more than one. you could hear, but it was definitely two footsteps, like bipedal. Followed us all the way down. We get on the bus. During the day, it snowed. So there was about 1.5 inches, like covering of snow by the time we got home from school. So we're walking up this road to our house, and there's no tracks, there's no tire marks. It's just fresh, pristine, fresh snow.
What state was that? What state were you in?
This was in North Carolina.
And what year?
Beach Mountain, North Carolina.
Alfred
I was
Santariga asked what year it was too.
I am 48. I was 5, so that was about 43 years ago. So subtract 43 from 2000.
89?
No, it was before that.
22?
Because I was about
79,
5 years old.
79.
Yeah, 79.
That's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah. So we're walking up this mountain road, and to our right, you're hearing these footsteps again. Then we started to hear knocking. Then we'd heard a woo. And we're like, okay, I've never heard that before. And when you're in the woods a lot, you get very familiar with all kinds of animal noises. It was something we never heard. It wasn't coyote. It wasn't, it was abnormal. So at that point, we're like, something's going on. And then to the left of us, we start to hear something else making a lot of noise. And it was kind of like growling. And you could tell that it went up the road, but down this bank. Now, on the left side of the road was this steep drop off that went down mountain. So if you were driving a car and you went off the road, you'd be flipping down this into a ravine. So something was there, and it was shadowing us, and then it went up ahead of us, and there was like a bend in the road. So it went up around the bend. And then whatever was here, and I'm thinking it's Bigfoot. In fact, I know it was Bigfoot.
At 5?
Huh?
Even at 5, you knew it?
Even at 5, I know it was Bigfoot, because all of a sudden this thing let out a whoop like you would not believe. And then it starts to run, and we can hear it running through the woods up in front of us, and it goes around the bend. Then all of a sudden you hear this ruckus on the other side, like it had come down, and whatever was there was now fighting with this being that was on our right side. So at that point, my brother and I were like, we're running. So we take off running. And as we come around the bend, right there in the center of the road was this giant barefooted footprint. And it was one single footprint. When you looked up the bank, you could see another footprint where it had launched off the bank, landed in the road, and then leapt down the other bank. So we kind of peeked over the other bank and saw it was kind of tore up. Something had happened, and you could see rolling down in the fresh snow down this bank into the woods. So at that point, we're like, let's get the hell out of here. Except we didn't say that because we didn't cuss when we were kids. But we took off running. We knew better. We took off running. We got to the house, told my mom, told my dad what we saw. And that was when my dad was like, listen, these are your protectors. Whatever was there. And I am convinced to this day that some kind of predatory animal was stalking out me and my brother, getting ready to get its next meal. Yeah. And this forest person literally protected us. It kept it away from us. And every single day when we go up and down that road to the bus stop, you could hear it in the woods walking beside us, and you'd hear the tree knocks. You would hear footsteps and branches breaking as it moved through the underbrush up that bank there. And every once in a while you'd catch glimpses of this tall, dark bipedal being kind of weaving through the trees. It'd be like a shadow just moving through the trees. And then as soon as the house was in sight, we wouldn't hear it anymore.
Yeah.
So it was our protector. It was our guardians. There's many times I've been protected by a forest person.
Undeniable that it was protecting you. I mean, that rings so true to me. I mean, I've had the same experience. I've actually had them rescue me and protect me on a number of occasions. So I know exactly, I know exactly what you're saying. And yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was shadowing you as a protector, right? You know, because little kids.
Well, what's astounding to me is that your father actually said, "Don't worry, they're protecting you." And where did he come up with that?
Well, he's American Indian. That's how he was raised. Like there has been long-standing word bond treaties between American Indians and the forest people for hundreds and hundreds of years. They have coexisted together. There are sacred sites that, like there are sacred Native American burial grounds that are protected by some forest people. So we would protect their sacred areas. We honored and respected their sacred areas, and they honored and respected us. So there was like this, there was like an understanding, like if you treat us with respect, you treat our home with respect, we'll treat you with respect. If you protect us, we'll protect you. So it was like my dad always said, when you're out in nature, that's their house. Like you don't go into somebody else's house and just walk into their refrigerator and open the door and help yourself to whatever you want, unless you want to fight, you know? So you go in there with respect. You always go in a good way. You leave in a good way. I always bring an offering of tobacco with me when I go. And I've never had a bad experience with, until recently. Just a couple of days ago, I had a pretty sketchy encounter. But we won't go into that right now. But I've always, you know, had this, you respect them, you will be respected. Like I know that there are certain areas out there when you're walking, suddenly the hair on the back of my neck will stand up. And I'm like, okay, this is a warning. So at this point, I need to ask permission. Like, is it okay for me to come into this area? If the answer is okay, that something about to happen feeling will go away, and the hair will just kind of lay back down. If it's not, it persists. And at that point you're like, okay, you don't know me. I don't know you. That's your home. I'm going to go this way. And by doing that, I've never had any kind of I've been gifted things. I was gifted this geode.
Whoa.
Oh,
Wow, that's a good one.
By a Sasquatch in Utah.
wow.
I just got a little plain, ordinary rock.
Yeah. I've got I got a bunch of gifts too. I got 3 special gift rocks but that's a huge story. I'll share that with you privately maybe. But I've also got crystals and stuff because they know that I'm interested in crystals. They've given me maybe 3 or 4 crystals. And actually
I love it. You know, I was out in Utah and I was searching the washes for geodes, right? And I never found one this color. So I found them white. I found them like orange colored, like rust colored, black. I found one time I found a green one, but when I went to go smash it, I could never find it again after that. So I was looking for it, and all of a sudden I heard this knock, and I looked up, and there was this cliff face that went up about 25 feet. There was like a ledge, and then it went up about another 25, 30 feet. But on this ledge was a female sass, and I just looked at her. I said, "Aho, mitukaye oyasin. Mielo Niante." I said, "I'm just treasure hunting. Is it okay if I continue to look for my little treasures?" And I like glanced down and then glanced and she was gone. So I was like, oh, well, where did you go? And then I hear a knocking again behind me. So I turn around and she's down the mountain a little bit a ways from me. And I was like, oh, hello. I was like, how are you? I was like, is it okay if I continue to search around for my little stones? And then she was gone again. So I walked down to where she was standing, and sitting on the rock, a big rock right where she was standing, was this geode.
Wow.
So she gifted that to me. And I actually looked around to see if there was another half to this somewhere, and I could not find it. So I'm convinced that she has the other half of this still. And it's one of her treasures. And this is one of mine.
That's pretty special then, isn't it?
Yeah.
The other
So
That's a wild story.
Hey, so let me ask you this, and this is kind of just a minor detail, but I just want to see if there's when you initially heard the Sasquatch person shadowing you in the woods, would it stop walking if you stopped walking?
sometimes, and then sometimes it wouldn't.
Okay.
You know, like sometimes it was just like we would be walking and then we'd stop, and it would like continue for a little ways and then stop, and it'd be like it'd wait and it would wait and it would wait, and then we would walk again and then it would start walking. So it was almost like, how long are you going to make me sit here and wait before you guys hurry up and catch up? Like, I can't sit here and babysit you all day. So get your butt in gear and let's go. But it was just always there. And then when we moved, it came with us. And I found out later that this was a SAS named Nakoma that my father had known for a very, very long time.
Wow.
And
so family generational kind of thing.
Right. So when my father and my mom split when we were younger, much, much younger, when I was around 15, my father sent him to me to continue the honor, to continue to honor the treaties that our peoples had. So wherever I go, pretty much they come with me. It's like, if it doesn't matter what state I move to, what part of the world I'm in, they will find me somehow, some way, and they will be there with me.
Yes. And yeah, I understand that completely. So your father must have had quite the relationship with them. Can you talk about a little bit about his experiences and what he found out, and you know, some of his thoughts?
He's the one that taught us how to open our minds to mind speak with them. He's the one that taught us how to, and he was taught by them how to open the mind, which is one of the reasons why when I go out into the woods, I'll do toning. I don't know if you know what toning is.
I've heard of it, but
I will go out into it's kind of a form of meditation, but you'll just sit in, you'll go out into the woods and you'll just find a quiet spot and you'll sit barefooted, preferably, so that the energy of the earth is, you're connected to the earth somehow on the bare skin. And then you just clear your mind and when you come to that place of silence, you just start to make tones. You'll go, you'll continue to do that, and then you'll take the pitch up. You'll bring it up a little higher. And then you'll just keep going up. But as you're doing this, your senses, your energy is becoming connected to the vibrations and the energies of all other living things that are around you. You become connected to the trees. You become connected to the stones, to the squirrels chittering around on the ground, and you're hearing things that you never heard before that you opened up those senses. You could hear a mouse running 3 miles away. Like, so wow. It's like, yeah, you just start to pick up on all these things, and it really helps you to connect. But that's one of the things that my father taught me how to do. And
that's something that I'm definitely going to try.
And also,
So let me just ask you though. So when you first started doing it, how long did it take before was it like instantaneous or did it take practice?
it's pretty much instantaneous. As long as you have to get to that place of complete stillness in your mind. And I do that with breathing exercises, deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth, kind of like in a circular pattern. And you're just focusing on that breath. And then your mind will just come to that place of silence where you're not thinking anything. You're not, it's just like a darkness. Like it's like almost like sleep, but you're wide awake, if you know what I mean. Everything in your mind is quiet. And then you start that process and your whole energy, your vibrations, everything you are just connects to everything else that's around you. And you're putting out this, which is another reason why I do it, because you're putting out your energy, right? So whatever energy that it is that you have, whether it's good energy or bad energy, they're going to pick up on that. If it's good energy, it's going to draw them. If it's bad energy, it's going to, it'll repel them. They don't want that, So that, and there's another song, I sing the honor song, the Micmac honor song when I go out in the woods. It's a Native American song, which I find whenever I'm speaking in native tongue or I'm doing native traditions, I have a lot more better connections with them, so to speak.
I agree. When we do ceremony and whatever out here with like a fire ring, and we send our love, our attentions, all that kind of stuff out there, it's really well received. They really like that kind of stuff. They really like that kind of stuff. So when you were doing this toning and doing this practice, what was your first experience? Did you get mind speak? Did one of the Sasquatch people talk to you, or what was the breakthrough?
Well, Nakoma pretty much like always spoke to me, like that was when I was 15. So I didn't really start my connections like verbally speaking with them, like with, telepathically or however you want to call it, mind speak, wasn't until I was around 15. And that was when he was like, my dad was like, you need to start doing what we practiced for all those years, all those things that I taught you. Like when you go out into the woods, you go in a good way. You have to put your energy out there. If you're not putting your energy out there and letting them know who you are, they're going to avoid you. But if you're trying to have an experience, then if you're the guy that's going to be like, oh, I'm going to get that, the dollar, the money shot, or I'm going to prove that they exist. No, you're not, dude. You're not. You're just not. It's not going to happen because they're not out to prove they exist. They're not out to prove anything to anybody. They just want to exist. So like the jerkwad that goes out there, like,
oh, we swear on this show. It's fine.
Okay. So the jerk off that goes out there so that person, he's not going to have an experience. Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah. It's all about intention, heart intentions and stuff like that. That's
I'm
why.
so glad you're talking about this kind of stuff because, not enough people know that there's friends with Sasquatch. There's Sasquatch as teachers, Sasquatch as protectors. That's just the whole side of Sasquatch that so few of the other groups don't even acknowledge it. The idea of it's just beyond them. But what a compassionate people.
And that's not to say that there aren't cryptids that we need to be weary of, because there are, like the skinwalker, shapeshifter, the rake. There are things out there that are hungry and will do you harm. And that's why it's so important to be aware constantly of the energy around you, because if you can't connect to that energy, you're not knowing if there's something lurking in the darkness ready to devour your ass. So, and that's why, like, when I feel that hair on the back of my neck stand up, I know I'm not welcome, and it's time for me to vacate the area very respectfully, but I'm vacating. If I don't feel like I've been given permission to be in an area, I won't go.
Yeah. So your first actual experience was when you were 5 years old, walking to school, right? When they were shadowing you, and you already knew because of your dad's wisdom and art and connection to them that they were friends and they were protecting you. That's amazing. Which I totally concur with. That's my experience 100%. So what happened next? Tell us some of the other things that happened from that point.
So about, I would say, because that was in the winter. So several months later, in the summertime, because I wasn't in school anymore, my brother and I had found this old dilapidated log cabin in the woods. So he and I were like, yeah, we're going to rebuild this thing and we're going to move into it. And this is where we're going to live. And yeah. So we'd steal my dad's tools, go out in the woods and start hammering away, like pretending like we were doing something. But, we weren't building anything. We were just taking dad's tools and pissing him off. But so this one particular day, I can't remember where my brother was, but I was outside and there's this bank. If in my front yard, when you come out of the front house, there's this big open yard, and then there's a bank that'll go up like 5 feet, then it goes in, then it goes up like another 10 feet, goes in, and then it goes up to the top of the mountain, and there's a trail that'll take you up to the mountain. And so I was up in there and I saw this butterfly, which is like really weird to me when I think about it now, because I'm like in the woods and I'm seeing a butterfly. I don't think I've ever seen a butterfly in the woods. So that right there should have been, but I was a kid. So I didn't have that awareness yet to be careful, because there's certain things you don't want to follow, you don't want to do in the woods. I was learning, but I wasn't aware fully yet. So I'm chasing after this butterfly, thinking I'm going to catch this butterfly, and I'm not paying attention to where I'm going. So by the time I realized I should probably go back to the house, I didn't know where I was. So I had lost the trail. I didn't know how to get back to the trail. I didn't know which direction to go. I was completely turned around and I was getting nervous. And then all of a sudden I hear a tree knocking, and I look up and I look at in the direction, and I see this tall blonde figure kind of like peek out kind of a little bit and then kind of step back in. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go that direction. So I started walking towards it. And then I'd be like, am I going the right way? And then I would hear like another knock, and I'd look in the direction of the knock, and then I would see the being again. And then by the time that happened, maybe 3-4 times, I would follow the knocking. And then I came to the trail and knew where I was, and I was able to get back home. So had that not happened, I don't know how long I could have wandered around in the woods, or even if I would have been found, because, there are little known, what do you want to call them? They're not fairies. They're not pixies, maybe sprites, I guess, but they're kind of mischievous. They mean you not good things, and you don't want to follow them because you could get lost. I think that's what the butterfly was. I don't think it was an actual butterfly, but I think it was something trying to lure. Yeah. So, because if you have light beings that are attracted to you, you're going to have dark energies attracted to you for the same reasons, but for a different reason, if you know what I mean. Like,
Same,
some light,
different purpose.
right? Some light attracts, and that same light will piss other things off. So that other thing wants to get rid of the light, if you know what I mean. So,
Sure.
there are things that you need to be weary of and that you need to be aware of and just be mindful. I'm not saying be afraid, but to be, to have knowledge of it is to be armed and forewarned. And if you have knowledge, which is why all this stuff fascinates me and why, the paranormal and these things interest me, because if you don't know what it is that's coming at you, if it's bad, you don't know how to fight it, if you know what I mean.
That's a
If
great
it's
point.
good, you don't
That's a
have to
great
worry
point.
about it.
That's a great point, is that basically we are much, much stronger than any kind of energy, demons, or interdimensional. But you have to know that you're stronger and be in your power. And being in your power takes a certain amount of maturity and awareness and, whatever. But you need to be in that power and be conscious of it, or else these things can manipulate you, push you around, terrify you, or whatever.
Right. And and to have a humility about it too, as well, because if you have a little bit of humility, then there's a deep respect there. But if you're arrogant or ignorant of certain things, then you find yourself in situations you don't want to be in, and I've said this 100 times. I'll probably say it a trillion more times. I have experienced these creatures my entire life. Does that make me the authority? Do I know everything there is to know? Absolutely not. And I don't care who you are, how long you've been out there. Your experience doesn't negate my experience. My experience doesn't negate your experience. I don't know the circumstances behind what happened to you happened, just like they don't know the situation or circumstances behind what happened with me. So, like all this intergroup, oh, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. Dude, let's just be love, respect, and
yeah.
And love is better than belief, because as soon as you have a belief, it starts an argument. Oh, what you believe, that's not true, and so then you're attacking their belief, and then they're defending their belief, or they're attacking your belief. And attack and defend is war. You know what I mean? You're in this
exactly.
You don't need that. It's just like, okay, there's an experience, and this is another experience, and that's that's the way the flowers bloom in the field.
Exactly. And like I said, if you're that person that goes traipsing through the woods, like you own the joint, like just a disrespectful, obnoxious presence, you're never going to see. And you might end up being that person that gets pushed out. And if you're not listening when it wants you out, then it's going to make you get out. And you may not like how it happens, because we know that there are certain cryptids out there that will, feast on us if given the opportunity. Skinwalkers being one of them. So you gotta have some wisdom, some intelligence, and know when to just go. Like when it's time to leave, it's time to leave. Like
I think you're kind of leaning towards, you're not saying it in maybe these exact words, but I think you're talking about, like with me, Sasquatch teach me about energy and whatever, and how to read it, and that's the universal language, that kind of thing. So I can feel in the energy a malevolent or benevolent being, right? So because everything's energy. So that's so when you can read it, it's a big advantage to knowing what you're dealing with, right?
Exactly. It's like when I was at that covered bridge the first time, and I was there completely by myself. Nobody was there. I was just walking around taking event pictures. I was like, wow, this is really cool. This old covered bridge in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, I'm going to explore, So I get out and I'm taking pictures, and then all of a sudden the hair on the back of my neck starts to stand up, and I'm like, something doesn't feel right here. Like, no bird sounds, no chipmunks chittering, no squirrels, no, dead
Right.
silence. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to take one selfie. I'm going to take a photo of the bridge, and then I'm going to get a selfie of me with the bridge behind, and then I'm out. Right. So I took those 2 pictures, got in my truck, and I was like, I'm out. Get home, and I start scrolling through the photos, and I'm like, what the hell is that in the window of the bridge? And I zoom in on it, and I'm like, that's a rake. I was like, no wonder I felt like I had eyes on me the whole time. No wonder I felt like I needed to not be there. And I'm glad I listened when I did. But then I had to explore all the other photos to make sure that there was nothing that could cause it to look like there was something there that wasn't there, if you know what I mean. Like, nothing in the background that was coming through the windows. Nothing. I was dead by myself, got in my truck, left. So then I went back. I think it was a year later with my sister, and we did an investigation. That's the dual investigation, the train bridge and the covered bridge that turned cryptid, paranormal, and
We've got some
which,
pictures of that. We'll get to them in a bit when you want.
Could you
When-
tell people what the rake is? Because there's a lot of people. It's one of the most mysterious, for sure, of
It's-
all the cryptids.
oh, some people call it a crawler, some people call it a rake, and people don't like to use the term rake because they think it's like creepy pasta. Well, everything started off as creepy pasta. Like, you got to come up with a name for something that you've seen that you can't understand or you can't explain. But it's this tall, thin, white, pasty, sharp teeth, black eyes, like, kind of like, do you ever see Lord of the Rings?
Mm-hmm.
Gollum on steroids, and a lot more scary, with black eyes, but the teeth and like the way he moves, like they'll move like that on the ground. So, which is why some people call them crawlers. But that movement of Gollum in Lord of the Rings, that's very similar to a rake, and just the body structure, that thin, bony, almost skeletal appearance.
They're said to be dangerous too. I've never heard of any stories of people or animals being, except for one. I heard one story of animal being eaten or something by a rake.
Wow.
That was as close as I ever wanted to get or ever want to get again.
And you've got a picture of it in the window, right?
Yep.
And we'll get
In
to
fact,
that in a second. We'll get to that in a
Mhm.
second. So I've never even heard of that cryptid before. That's the first time I ever heard of it. Of course, I'm basically just a Sasquatch guy anyway, but
right.
because they don't share me with anybody else, really. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've had a few other things, but because it's all kind of connected in anyway, but primarily Sasquatch. So you're a devout Christian, right?
Mhm.
So here's the tough question. And I'm asking you because I know you're going to have an answer because you've already resolved it,
Mhm.
obviously. So to me, Sasquatch are really big time teachers.
Mhm.
They gave me like what I call a love zap that was just a universal knowing. It was just like profound. It was life changing. So if you believe, and I do believe that you think they're teachers, am I correct?
Mhm.
So how do you reconcile? Because Christianity says, well, there's Christ, and everything else is, it's not the message, so you don't want to go there. But how do you reconcile that? And how do you tell your Christian friends that would say, well, that's not Christ, so that's it. You can't be listening to
How do
that.
you know what is and what isn't, though? Right. So I'm the kind of person, I want to research it, I want to experience it and draw my own conclusion. Right. So
Of course.
I have numerous theories on this whole particular. One is that they're possible Nephilim. But if they were Nephilim, then they wouldn't be good, right? If you believe in the Bible. So that icks that off the thing for me, right? So now we know that Nephilim were descended from fallen angels mating with, sons, women of man, right?
Right.
So, and they were destroyed. Now, I know that the Bible also says, as in the days of Noah, so shall be the coming of the Lord. We'll know the time of Jesus is coming because it's going to start looking a lot like it was back in the days of Noah and if you look at what's going on in society right now, it looks a lot like the days of Noah, right? So we know that there's certain things that are going to happen. There's going to be Nephilim. There's going to be this. There's going to be that. Okay, so take that off the table, right? So when the watcher angels fell and did what they did and they were cast out, right? They were the angels that were supposed to watch over us. Now, the Bible does say, I have given angels to protect and keep and guard you in all of your ways. We know an angel can take any form it wants. So who's to say that these are not angels taking the form of, say, a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, a dog man, or something other, and trying to guide you, protect you, and do whatever it is that they're. Do you know what I mean?
No, I do know what you mean.
And the other thing is, I know that they respond to praise music. When you're singing praise and worship, they respond to that. If you take the shofar, I know that a shofar, if you blow it in a certain pitch or tone, will draw them in. So, shofars are very holy horns. Angels use certain shofars. Priests use certain shofars. There's different kinds of shofars. So why would they come to now? Could they have been something that God had created all those hundreds and thousands of years ago that is part of his army, and the shofar is what they would use to draw them into battle to fight evil? Or is it because it's something holy, so it draws them? There's so many. That's why I'm saying, like, as much as we think we know, there's a million gazillion things that we don't know. And the only way we're ever going to fully know is when we get to heaven someday and we can ask God, and everything will be revealed. But so I'm not the kind of person to discredit anything without researching it, a lot of going at it in a very I don't want to say scientific manner, because we'll say a medical manner, just so that I know what it is, right? And if I feel it's good, then it's good to me. If I feel it's evil, then I'm going to try to stay away from it, but I'm still going to want to know about it. So if I ever come up to, against it, I know how to protect myself. And I know that in certain situations, the name of Jesus will stop certain force people from coming. So there's a lot there that's just.
You said certain force people. So ones that are not on board with love and stuff, or
like badgers. Badgers don't care if you love Christ or not.
well, maybe they do in some way.
Like I saw a skinwalker like a couple of months ago in the fog on the stretch of road. And I wanted to get a picture of it. And as soon as I slowed down and thought I got to get my phone, I hear no in my head. And do you guys ever see the movie Arrival with Charlie Sheen and the alien encounters?
I've heard of it, but I can't recall.
I must have. That was a while
Well,
back ago.
there's a scene in the movie where the alien he's a human, and all of a sudden he turns into the alien and his legs literally go from the hips straight back like this and then down. Like the knees just go and bend backwards. That's what this thing's legs looked like. And its snout was like super short and it was massive. And as soon as I heard that, I got hit with this infrasound, made my whole body shake. It felt like my truck was vibrating. I instantly got nauseous and I'm like, yep, I'm out. Hit the gas, got home. And then a couple of days ago, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go back. I worked up my nerve. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back. I shouldn't have went back alone. I was really stupid. And as soon as I get into this location where I think this possible den could be, dead silence. Birds stop. No chittering chipmunks, no nothing. Hair on the back of my neck starts to stand up. I literally have goosebumps on goosebumps. And I'm like, I'm just going to go to the tree and I'm taking video. I got video. And at a certain point, I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm out. So I start coming back out and it's following me. And I'm like, this isn't good. I don't want this thing following me. And I'm like, I'm going to end up being the dumbass that ends up on the missing 411 because I stuck my nose in where I shouldn't have stuck my nose in. And there was all these brambles and thickets. And I'm like, and even if I wanted to run, like I couldn't run. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Thank God I had cell service. So I'm like, I'm going to call my group chat for this other group that I'm in. And I'm going to pray somebody answers the phone because at least if something happens to me, they're going to know what happened to me. And I'm not going to just be like, oh, she went hiking and never came back. Like there's going to be proof as to what happened to me. So I end up, she gets on, she's like, girl, you better run. So I start running and my foot gets all caught up and I trip and I got thorns wrapped around my leg. I felt like amateur central. I was like, please, God, don't let me get eaten. Like while I have thorns wrapped around my leg, I finally got free, ran to my car. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going back. Nope, not by myself. It just did not feel good. Like, I mean, I pushed my luck and I definitely shouldn't have done that. Like I knew at a certain point that it was like, and I was just like, and I'm whispering in the video because I know like I should not be there. And I'm like, I'm just going to go a little bit further and see if I can get a little bit closer. And then I'm out. Stupidest thing I ever did. I should have turned around and left right then. But I did get some evidence in the videos from that. A friend of mine's still analyzing all the video evidence, but I did get a couple of photos from that. But yeah, you got to listen to that energy. Like you really do. So important. But there are certain things out there like the skinwalker. But at a certain point, when I got to that field, I'm like, I don't want this thing following me anymore. And I don't want it like coming home with me. So I was just like, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And as soon as I said that, like the footsteps and the rustling completely stopped. And then I turned around and ran across the field, got to my truck and left and went home. And then I called my friend Laura just to let her know, yeah, I'm okay. I made it out of there. But I was like, thank God she answered because I literally was like, and I've seen reptilians around here. Like I'm seeing things that I've never, that veil is something got woken up there's all this chaos that's going on. that veil got real thin and things are coming through that, like, and if you're sensitive to energy like I am, if you're sensitive to like the spiritual realm and dimensional things, you feel something's going on. You feel like you can just feel it. Something's going on. I don't know what it is, but
Oh,
I
yeah.
think something big's about to happen.
Well, the reptilians aren't necessarily bad, in my opinion. If they're out in the woods with you, that they're probably not that bad. It's the ones that you don't ever see,
The ones that
are
are in the
just
water
completely
sneaking up on
dark.
you. Yeah, that was my experience. And I should have sent you those pictures too, but I didn't. Got 2 photos of it. And then I was like, you know what? It's time for me to get out. So I start walking back to my truck and I looked thank God something told me to look to my right. And I looked to my right and there it was about 10, 12 feet away, coming up out of the water, creeping up the bank, getting ready to pounce on me. I screamed and took off running, probably the second time I've ever ran since I broke my neck and back. I don't run unless like, yeah. But it was dark, just not welcoming being at all. Definitely, but I'm seeing things that elementals, I'm seeing more of them. I'm seeing it's like that veil is getting thin. Something's about to go down. I don't know if y'all can feel it, but
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've seen some of that stuff too, and I attribute it to the veil getting thin and the times we're in. Absolutely, for sure. So have the Sasquatch ever hit you up with such a greeting or love that you immediately just burst into tears, weeping or whatever? Like that's a beautiful being. When you feel that, that that's pure love from
I've
a
just
from a pure love source. If you feel their love, uh, anybody who tries to tell me that that is not a benevolent being and a highly evolved being, sorry, you're
Holy,
correct.
holy moly.
You have felt that?
yes, I have felt this overwhelming sense of just peace, love, and acceptance.
Yeah.
That's just like, I want to say it's almost like being in the arms of God or being in the presence of God, but not quite. Like, I don't know if you've ever experienced that overwhelming sense of the Holy Spirit where it's just all of a sudden you're just crying, but it's like tears of just complete joy because you just feel so loved and so at peace and just it's overwhelming. And the only way you can express the emotion is through tears, right?
I experienced that with the Sasquatch. They gave me a
So
big knowing or whatever, and I was immediately in tears, and it was like, oh my God, it was just woo.
yeah. So
So
they definitely, there's something spiritual about them, to say the very least.
If people always go out there and say, "Oh, there's some evil ones, there's some nasty ones," but almost nobody ever talks about that they have holy men. There's some of them that are, they're like sacred saints or something of the
I don't know if
Sasquatch community.
right. Have you ever heard Scott Pace?
I don't know if the name doesn't ring a bell.
Scott Pace. Like I'm gonna send him your way. He's a big time Christian. He gets big time Sasquatch, dog man experiences, but he's like, he believes that there's a very deep spiritual side to them as well. Like the ones that he's encountered love worship music. They just he could sit there and just, like he's like one of those guys that's just down to, or he's not a drinker. He's doesn't, he's a very down to earth, clear headed human being, but he could tell you some stories that just, you're like, he's just a great guy. But he's in the same realm as we are, that they're spiritual, they can teach, they're protectors, there's, but there are other And that's like one of the reasons why I started coming out and speaking about my experiences, because I was hearing all these negative things from certain people. And I'm like, but that's not the whole story. There's so much more to, and I was like, I've never had any of those experiences that you guys have, I've never been charged. I've never had, things thrown at me. I've never been chased out except for, Skinwalkerville.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that some jerk off going out there disrespecting, somebody's home isn't going to get chased or pushed out. It goes back to that respect thing. If you go there with a respect and a reverence, you're going to be treated with respect and reverence. But if you go there like you own the place, like it's your home when it ain't, you're going to come up with some issues.
Yeah, it depends on how you react to what they do too. Like for me, if they throw a rock out on the path, hey, my friends are here. Hi, we're here. We're with you. And I usually get some kind of energy confirmation, whatever, too, to go with that. But I look at it as a greeting and something wonderful. Somebody else will look at it like, get your gun and like start, get the hell out of here and we're all going to die, So
trying to kill me. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean,
I'm going to go out and I'm going to shoot a Bigfoot and I'm going to get proof because dude, please come to my woods. Please come to my woods because I'm going to shoot you myself. Like, seriously, like what the,
can I send a couple people your way?
Like, for real, yo, like, seriously, it's like, come on. Like, first of all, you don't know what these creatures are. Okay, say you have maybe an Agugway or something like that that's coming to attack you, rip your face off, whatever. Yeah, shoot it. But just to go out, you have the right to defend yourself. But to just go out and hunt something down to say, yep, I got Bigfoot or I got the dog man or I got this, or go F yourself, dude. Like, seriously, step off. Like, you're not, first of all, you ain't even going to see shit because they know your intention.
Yeah.
And if you do happen to see one, it ain't going to go the way you think it's going to go. Okay. Because it ain't the ones you see you're going to have to worry about. It's the ones you're not seeing that you're going to have to worry about. So if you think you're all that, have at it. But I guarantee you it's not going to go down the way you think it's going down.
They're people, right? They're people. I look at them as people. So, I mean, what is the best way to communicate and connect with people is out of respect, right? I mean, the way that some of these hunters and these people treat them, what kind of person or what kind of race of people anywhere in the world is going to react well to that?
Right, exactly.
Like, you're in my face, you're fringing on my territory, you got your camera right, in my face. I mean, you think I'm a monkey, your intentions are bad, your energy is bad. They're not going to interact with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're off or something,
and they're not going to stand there for you to just take a picture of or to point your gun and just shoot them either. Like, let's be real. Like, some of the best shots I've ever gotten were completely by accident, so it's all, it's all in your philosophy. It's like, it's in your attitude. If your attitude is pure and it's full of light and love, then you're going to be okay.
I have quite a few pictures of them in various states of, and when you say cloaking or whatever, and people automatically say, oh, you're drawing circles and stuff. No, you can actually see them. But I've got I've got a lot of pictures of them, but I never purposely went out and took one. I've always just said, hey, I'm taking pictures. If you want to show up, show up. I've taken like a selfie and I look at it and there's one standing right behind me looking over my shoulder. Or I asked Ari to visit me one day. That's my clan leader. That was one of the days I went in there and was just weeping with like unbelievable love. And I said, come and visit me. And then after the fact, I seen, he did. He showed up in my
Asking permission is so important. It's so important. And that's one of the biggest things my dad ever taught me. He was like, if you're asking permission, you're showing respect. You're saying, hey, I recognize that this is your territory. I don't belong here. But I'm asking permission to be allowed into your space for however long you want to tolerate me. And if the answer is no, I respect that. If it's the answer is yes, even more mad respect. You know what I'm saying? But asking permission, one of the biggest signs of respect you can give to
and you know,
any.
they don't want to be treated like they're monsters or like they're so different or whatever. Like when I went out, and this is just who I am anyway, and I guess because I was connected to them subconsciously before, I just had a knowing. But I would go out there and I just treat them like they're regular people and just play around, have fun, do fun things, sing to them, and not treat them like they're some boogeyman in the closet. Just treat them with respect, like you're just a friend of mine.
Exactly that. But if you want to go into the dual bridge investigation, I think those were the. Can I just take a short restroom break here? I just need to run to the.
No, you should have let us know that before we brought you on. I'm not okay. Yeah, sure.
Thank you, sir.
I'll go and get your pictures.
Loaded up. Okay, I'll be right back, sir. Thank you.
Let's dispense with the sir bullshit. That sir stuff's got to go. Okay, guys, I'm going to go and look for her pictures. So bear with me for a second. It's a great show today. I'm really enjoying it. And it wasn't too much dead air. We're back. I'll bring her pictures up and then we'll be ready to go. All righty. There you are. Am I in the right place?
Hello, sir.
No. No, sir.
Well, hello, Brian.
There you go. That's better.
How you doing?
I'm old enough as it is without the sir, right?
Well, I was raised in a long line of military family people, so we were always taught to like say sir and ma'am and no sir, yes sir, all that stuff. So it's just me being Southern.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of teasing you anyway.
It's all good.
We don't need the sir though. But so are we on the right page here?
Yes. And the reason I sent this photo is because I wanted you guys to get an idea as to where we were. And as we walk down this track, you're going to see in the distance, you're going to see this V, which is this railroad sign, right? Sure. On the right side of the photo. So the first thing.
Oh, yes. I see that. Yeah.
All right. So we started this as a paranormal investigation, and this site.
Hang on a second. So, you're probably going to go there, so probably redundant.
Yeah.
What was the paranormal investigation about?
Okay, so there were several deaths at this location. I'm not going to say the names of the people, but we went there to particularly investigate this one female, and we knew her name. And there was this whole thing when she died. Was she pushed? Was it her husband? Was it an accident? So my sister and I were both very sensitive. We pick up on the paranormal. So I wanted to go there with my sister because she'll pick up on things that I don't pick up, and I'll pick up things she doesn't pick up. So I was like, let's just go there together and see what happens. So as we're walking down the track, I look at the sign, and for some reason I get the heebie-jeebies. I'm just like, I don't know what it is about that sign, but it's really creeping me out. Like, I really, like, it's making me not want to be here, like just seeing this sign. And I'm like, I'm not even going to say anything because it just sounds so crazy that this sign is giving me the creeps, right? So I keep walking, and my sister comes up behind me, and she goes, I don't know what it is about that sign that gives me the creeps. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just thinking that. I said, something about this sign is really creeping me out. So we start walking, we get to the bridge, and we're taking photos. But before that, we notice my sister calls me over. She had found a tree structure to the left of the railroad tracks there. And she goes, come check this out. And so I'm going, holy shit, that's like a Bigfoot structure.
Talking
Like,
just over in here somewhere.
Right. And I did send you photos of the structure. So it's probably going to be right after that photo.
Sure. Okay.
Possibly.
Just tell me to move along when you want me to. Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and.
Oh, you want me to move along?
Yeah, you could go ahead and move along. But so I'm looking at this structure and I'm going, that's crazy. So I take all these photos. That right down in there, that's where that structure was. So I'm taking that from the tracks that she's pointing to it. And then we walk down in there to like check it out. So it was this big, huge pine tree, and all the top branches had been snapped off and piled around the base of this tree. And you could see that something big was bedding down there. And I could smell rotten meat. And I'm videotaping this and I'm like, then I hear a growl, and I was like, did you hear that? And I'm like, I'm smelling rotten meat. I'm thinking we should go back to the tracks, right? So I was like, and it's not a cryptid investigation. This is paranormal, right? So go ahead and skip ahead.
Yeah. Can I ask you, because I'm just from my own interest, and probably people want to hear this too. You said there were a number of deaths there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was going on?
People fell off. Now there's a maze. There's an old maze, a labyrinth in the woods, right directly off that train bridge.
Okay.
So years ago, it was open to the public. It was built as a monument to this man whose son died in one of the wars. So it used to be open to the public, but people would disrespect it. They would litter it. They would climb up the walls. They were damaging it. So he shut it down and made it private. So people would sneak in, but they would sneak down through the train tracks and they would fall off the tracks, right? It would be accidental. So that whole thing was, we wanted, because there's an open investigation on this one woman, whether her husband pushed her or it was accidental. Her parents believe that it was murder, and he claims.
Okay. How do you guys? Sorry for interrupting. How do you guys determine that? Is it like remote viewing? How do you determine when you're investigating this? How would you come to the determination of her fate?
Right. Okay. So now there's videos that I didn't send you, but of my sister. Now my sister was picking up on the victim while I was picking up on the perpetrator, so to speak, that energy of the perpetrator. So after we investigated this little structure here, this tree structure, like, and if you go through, you'll see some of the photos of the tree structure.
Do you want me to move on?
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, right in there. That's the structure. Go ahead a little bit.
Well, okay.
Is that the video?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the video of the structure. So you can see the whole structure, how the branches had been broken off and just stacked around the tree. They had
Right.
started to
Is this part of it
die.
here? Is this part of it here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Looks similar. Yeah.
So, and then there was like a plank that was up higher where you could go and sit and watch. So it was kind of like almost even like a structure, but a sentinel tree, like where they would hang out and just watch you. And all the bark on the tree branches had been worn away from something climbing up the tree. And so, yeah, this is my sister pointing out the structure now.
Okay.
And so that was like interesting. I smelled the rotten meat. And so I was like, okay, well, let's get to the bridge. Let's get this investigation underway. And this is another photo of it. And you can see how the underbrush is just kind of trampled down flat, like something big has been in there. So you can go ahead a little bit.
Sure. Keep going.
That's another part of the structure. You can see that big branch right there, how it was broken off. It was broken up from higher and then placed there.
Here?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's constructed. This isn't and all the branches had been broken off the tree and placed around the base of it,
Good. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
So you can go ahead again and let me see. That's again structure. You can go ahead a little bit more. That now, when I was there, you'll see that little black dot in the background there, right there. Yep. That thing was watching us and I could see it swaying. And then it was just, I was like, is it there? Or am I just, and then I heard that growl and I was like, okay, let's
right
get
here,
out.
right?
Yep, right there. But it just watched us. And then when we got
moving and stuff?
Yes. And then when we got to the bridge, when we were doing the paranormal investigation, we actually saw tracks, Bigfoot tracks by the water going up the bank towards that structure. So there was another video where we were I couldn't send you that one because it was too long, where we actually beat down. I did send you photos of the tracks though. But so when we get to the bridge, we started the investigation. We started doing some EVP work. And that's all in the structure there. But that little guy there was watching us, or big guy. It was like, I know something's there watching us. I might, in another video, I probably pointed to it. But so it was like, we get to the bridge, we start doing EVPs. We got a lot of EVPs and we actually connected to the woman. We got her name. She told us her name, which confirmed that that's who we were speaking to. And, she was murdered. She was pushed. Like my sister actually got down because they were climbing. My sister's walking across the bridge and she goes, for some reason, she just stepped down off the wooden planks to this girder that was going across the bridge, but where if she fell, it could be not a good scenario. And she goes, I don't know why something's leading me here. And she starts to walk. And she goes, I feel like somebody just pushed me and I'm turning around and I'm going like, what the hell? And then I look up and I was like, oh my God, I look up and there's another one of those railroad signs. And I was like, oh my God, Sibby, that's the last thing she saw before she fell, hit her head on the cement embankment and died and drowned in the water, was that railroad sign that we saw coming in that freaked us out so bad. Now we know why it was freaking us out, because that was her last thing that she saw before she actually fell to her death, was that railroad sign.
So what do you do with that kind of information? Do you go to the police? I mean, will they, how do you?
You know, I've kind of thought about that, and I've kind of thought about like what to do with it, but it's like I don't know how seriously they would take us, but we did get photos of her body in the water, like floating. You can very clearly, and I actually sent you those photos of her in the water.
You mean you've got paranormal photos of her?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
If you go forward.
Yep, let's do that.
Go to the next picture.
Keep going.
Yep.
Okay, here.
Okay. Now, this is where we started seeing like orbish kind of things. We were just sitting there taking photos, random photos. Keep going. We did an EVP session sitting on this embankment where she hit her head. So right here, if you look in the water, you're going to see the reflection right where that pointer is. If you can go straight up to the log and then come straight down, and you can see the whole outline of the body right there. But then if you scroll to the next photo, you can actually see there's something cloaked standing right there. And here you can actually see the body, and then you see the head of whatever is standing on the bank there, reflected in the water. And you can see that hazy image in the greenery on the log there.
Yeah.
Of something standing there. You can't see distinctly, but it's kind of cloaked.
Yeah.
But that was the woman who, and when we took those photos and we were looking at those photos, that's when we saw the tracks. And we went back up to the bridge and then made our way down to the water's edge to look at those tracks. And then there was a couple of points on the bridge where you would get severe vertigo. Like you would just be standing there feeling like you were going to topple off. And the whole time I was there, I had this anxiety. Like, if I don't leave right now, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble. Oh my God, I can't believe I just did it. I can't believe she's dead. I can't believe. So I was picking up on his energy after he actually shoved her off the bridge, and he shoved her with such force that her head smashed on the cement embankment, and then she fell into the water and she was unconscious, and he left her in the water long enough for her to drown before actually calling somebody to report the accident, so to speak, quote unquote.
What a considerate guy, eh?
Yeah. So if you scroll to the next photo.
So
like,
this guy was this guy still alive?
Yes. And he's actually married to a friend of mine, which really, well, actually, she's not really a friend of mine. She's a friend of mine.
Uh-oh.
So
what kind of dilemma is that for you?
it's, I've had a conversation with my friend about it. So she does have the heads up. And even my friend has said, it's kind of sketch, that it's just, nobody talks about it. It's just very hush hush. Like he's trying to hide something or just doesn't want to talk about it. I don't know. It's creepy. But these were just a couple of different spectrum photos that we took. There was all kinds of like little fairies in this little, section of water in there. And if you scroll to the next one, because there was one.
Can I just ask you, just for my own interest sake, so have you met this guy? Have you actually talked to him?
No, I haven't met him face to face. I would love to like just hear. So we did a different spectrum of that place where we saw the body. And I just wanted to see if there was something else in there. But if you look a lot of people will say it's pareidolia, but if you look in this photo, there's lots of little faces. There's lots of
I almost see a Frankenstein face right here. But
there's lots of life. They're just everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. So this you can scroll to the next one, but this one here was like it's like I can't see it as good on the little screen because I'm on my phone here. But if you blow that up and just look at it, like anybody that goes ahead and watches the live, if you can pause it and blow it up, you're gonna see so much in these photos with the different light spectrums. It just brings things out that you don't see in the natural light. So adding different spectrums to your photos is so important sometimes because it brings things out more that you're not seeing before.
Here's that big bad evil sign again.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That sign gave me the creep so bad. Now this one you can actually start to see, like if you look in the water here, again, you're seeing that image of a person standing on that log. You
Okay.
can just see the faint outline of him in the water there. And the being actually standing on the log is not as visible in this spectrum as the reflection in the water is.
All right.
But you can go to the next photo.
Oh, that's a pretty photo.
Yeah. I love just messing with the light. But again, this one you can start to see, this gives you the perspective that there's nothing there in the natural, right? So whatever it is that we saw was in the supernatural, because all these photos I kind of took consecutively because I wanted to make sure I'm lining up and getting the exact same. You know what I mean? Taking more than one photo. If it's in one photo and it's in the second photo and it's in the third photo, then maybe it was pareidoral, but if it's in one and then it's not in the other, it gives you a little bit more paranormal feel,
Well,
if you know what I
by the
mean.
way, the individual, the I guess the Sasquatch that you saw, you're talking about earlier, did you look back and was there nothing there kind of thing?
He stood there for a little while, but once we got back to the bridge, he was gone. So I think he just didn't want us hanging out in his little, not that it was a little structure, but I think he was just like, yeah, that's my house. I'm not cool with you being there. Like, I dig your energy, but like, I don't know you. So, next time ask permission before you like come barging in my house. But you can go ahead and scroll to the next one. So here's the track. So after we were on the bridge, I'm looking up and I'm going, are those tracks? And so we had to make our way down through the structure, through this little game trail to where these tracks were. And then I took photos. I put sticks in the photos so you could get the perspective of how long the track actually was.
Sure.
Yeah. And there was more than one track. You can go ahead and skip ahead. So I moved some of the grass so that you could see, but the heel is at the bottom of that stick. And then the top of the toes, like that's the small toe. The big toe was behind my hand a little bit as I was holding the branches away. And you could tell he kind of slid as it was coming up out of the water. Not a track I could have got a good casting out of. But you can go to the next one. And then here's another one further up that we took. Yeah. So this is another one. You could see I took another stick and pointed it up so that you could get, this was like the right foot. The other one was the left foot. So it was that footprint and then that footprint. And then the brush was too thick to really get any more photos. But so that was the right footprint. And you could feel the toes, where the toes had sunk in as he walked forward and put the weight on his toes. You could feel the depressions of the toes. You couldn't see him as well in the photo, but you could feel him. That one probably would have been a good casting area for the toes anyway. But
Yeah.
you can go ahead and scroll to the, so here's, after we left there, we went to this bridge. And while we were here, we got a lot of paranormal. We got voices on the spirit box. We got demon, cursed, all kinds of stuff. And there were 2 women that were murdered. This bridge was moved from another location. And this is where I got the rake photo the year prior, right? So the reason my sister and I went there was because we wanted to see about this rake. But there were 2 women that were murdered on this bridge, and their bodies thrown into the creek bed. One was raped, stabbed to death. The other one's throat was slit. She was sexually assaulted and thrown into the
Yeah.
river. So these stone structures, again, were underneath the bridge. Now, am I saying that they're forest people or something other? No, but I'm just finding it a little bit odd that in the middle of nowhere, you have this bridge and you have these stone little monoliths built in an odd pattern, so to speak, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Just it just doesn't feel random. It just feels like there was like there's placement there. Like it was a planned, like they were trying to say something. So there's several of these little things throughout the location. And then we found this little tree that had been planted there, which I also found a little bit odd. So here's a little bit close up of the little stone monument liths. If you go a little bit forward, you'll see the tree. So
I like this. This is
So
something Sasquatch will do.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. I'm like, why would some person just plant a random tree underneath the bridge on a rock? You know, the soil had to be placed. Everything had, not that somebody couldn't do it. I'm just saying, why would you? It's just an odd.
It almost feels like it's honoring somebody that died there or something like.
Could possibly be.
But this is very Sasquatchy behavior. This thing here, this, like, you know, the tree here and the 4 rocks, which, you know, from my experience, and you know, everybody's got their own interpretation, and not one is right because it's all individual. But from my experience, I associate these with individuals. Sasquatch, 4 individuals.
So, I mean, and like I said, that's just something odd for a human to do. And so for me, that just stood out as something other than human.
When I look at the rock stacks and the structures, it's a really inexact science. You kind of have to look for the clues of consistencies and the little things that you might not notice that are just not, that are consistent over and over again. But
exactly. And I don't know if I sent you this picture, but if you go into that bridge and you look out the window, there's this giant hieroglyph laid out in the shape of an A right in the creek bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're sizable logs. And it just, to me, it just didn't look like coincidence or random. To me, it looked placed, like somebody was saying, hey, we're here and we're letting you know we're here.
So was this planted here or just stuck in there?
There was soil that was placed up in there, and then it covered there was soil placed there. They put the tree there, and then there was more soil placed over the roots, and then they put the stones around it, I guess, to keep the soil from washing away. Because it's stone, so it's like, how is it going to grow without soil? So it just seemed other than human is all I can say.
I get you.
So later on in the night, we're doing EVP work, and we're asking questions. Were you murdered? Why were you here? Just a series of questions. And all of a sudden my sister's like, what the hell? And we hear a click, like something hit the ground. And she goes, did you just do that? I said, do what? And she goes, and my hands were literally in my pocket. And she goes, well, obviously your hands are in your pocket. She goes, somebody just threw a rock at me. So at that point we turned on our flashlights, and actually found that rock that had been thrown at her. And that's one of several rocks that had been thrown that actually hit her that night. Yeah, I think there was a total of maybe 4 stone throwing incidents, and we did get those on film. Unfortunately, I don't know if I was able to send those clips because they were so long, they wouldn't let me send them.
That's
but
interesting. That's something foreign to me, because I've had dozens upon dozens of rocks tossed in my area, or right in front of me on the path, or a rock tossed against a tree. But it was always never ever did one hit me, and I never felt like they were intending to hit me. So why do you think why do you think that she was hit, and was she hurt?
No, she wasn't hurt because they weren't thrown hard. It was almost like the rocks materialized and just kind of like bounced onto her and then the ground, if you know what I mean. Well, because they weren't thrown with enough force to cause pain, but it was like, where could they have come from?
Okay, let me run something by you that I discovered. The Sasquatch can be, sometimes I think some of their accuracy with the rocks is because we've heard them breathing right around us, felt their energy, whatever. Sometimes they're cloaked right beside you, and they'll just go doink with a little rock over your head, or
which is possible.
So that's maybe why that could be an explanation for that, and why she wasn't hurt.
Right. So that whole thing, and it was actually raining that night too, which is why I think we got such a mix of activity. But the funny thing is we're driving there, and I said, wouldn't it be hysterical if this turned if paranormal and cryptid, crypto normal at the same time? And she's like, don't mess with me. And then we get there, and then she found the structure, and then all these things happened. And at one point, skip to the next photo. Let me see which this photo you were saying
before you went there, wouldn't it be funny if it turned into,
that's
not a coincidence. That's no coincidence.
Right. So this is the photo previously from the year before, when I had originally found this bridge, and I was investigating it. And at this point, because you can tell I'm not smiling, because I'm a little bit uneasy, because I just feel watched, and I'm like, I'm just going to take this selfie and then I'm out. Right. So it wasn't until I got home and actually looked at that photo, I knew why I was so creeped out. And if you,
here?
Yep, right in that window. And
so you've seen this window with nothing. Just
right.
Okay.
And I might have I think I sent you a picture of the bridge with nothing in the window, and then you can zoom in on that and see it. But if you scroll through, I actually zoomed in on the window so you can get a better idea of what it is that's actually looking at me out of that window.
I'm trying to figure out why I can't zoom in on here. I used to be able to. But anyway. Yeah, there's definitely something right there, right?
Right. Yeah.
Is that the rake you were talking about?
Yes, that's the rake. And as soon as you see the next photo, you'll understand why I'm calling it a rake. Here you can see it even more defined, more just it's there. And then I zoom in on it even more and you see the next image and you're just like, yeah, there's something there. Something just,
Excuse me.
it's right there. You can't deny it. So it's looking at me, and
What were you feeling? Were you feeling like negative energy and whatever?
I was feeling very uneasy the whole,
Yeah.
like totally creeped out the whole time. Like it felt like I was being watched. I would get goosebumps, and then finally I'm like, yeah, I'm out. And I was by myself, so I was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm not gonna push it. Like I'm by myself. So, and I think the next photo I sent you a photo of just the bridge.
Yeah. Can you describe a rake? Because I've never heard of it. What does it look like? What are they all about?
It's tall, skeletal, so thin that it looks like just skin over bone, like very little muscle tissue. If you've ever seen the movie Lord of the Rings, Gollum, that's how they move. But he's more opaque, more white, like very, very, very pale, black eyes, but those teeth that just look like just Gollum's teeth, that nasty little mouthful.
Are these the eyes?
Yep.
Okay. You wanted me to go to the next picture?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that's the bridge, and there's nothing in it. Now, I took that photo right before I took my selfie.
Well, looks like there's something there, but it's definitely
There's
not.
a little beam. There's a beam from the other side that goes across the top of the window. I might have actually sent you a couple of photos of the inside of the bridge too, so that you could see.
Okay, so this is a beam. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but that definitely isn't what we saw in the other photos.
Right. If you zoom in on that, it's very clear what that little thing in there is. And you can actually see that little beam in the photo with the rake.
Okay. No, that makes sense. It's obvious there's something in the rake photo, and there's nothing in this one. Little beam.
Then
Move on.
Yep.
Oh, well, okay. Now we're at the end of this one. Do you want to go on to the next?
So the next ones are just some random photos that I sent from over the years that I've gotten of different cryptids and what have you. So if you want
to tell us one of your favorite stories from your dad while I'm bringing these pictures up, one of his favorite experiences, or one of the biggest lessons he taught you through an experience or something. Can you speak of that?
I think the best thing I think I cherish the most about my dad was him just teaching me how to honor our Native American traditions, how to just show the earth respect, to live as like you are one with Mother Earth. And, by doing that, you become one with everything else that's around you.
Right.
If you know what I mean.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that was the most amazing thing that I can take away from my dad. And just like his stories, like we used to play cowboys and Indians when we were kids. And that's when I had my first dogman experience. We would take turns being Indians, and the Indians would go up mountain and we'd ambush and kill the cowboys. Right. So
good. Yay.
I'm the Indian. Right. So I'm going up. Yeah, there's this rock up mountain that I can climb on top of where they can't see me, but I can shoot down at them and kill them, right? So I'm making my way up there, and all of a sudden I hear this rustling, and I look up, and it's this dog person or a wolf person about 100 yards up mountain from me, just beyond where that rock is that I want to get on to ambush the Indians. So I just said, Aho.
The Cowboys.
Yeah, the Cowboys. So I said, Aho, mitukaeo yasin. And I'm like, I see you. I come in a good way. I mean you no harm. I'm just trying to get to my area so I can play with my brothers and sisters and if you're okay, I'm okay. And basically he just disappeared. And so I went up, got on the rock, killed the cowboys, won the day, and saw my first dog person. So
What are we looking at here? Is this what we're looking at?
this is a dog person. I got this on, now this is an unknown to me. I have never encountered this being before, but this was another investigation with my sister at this piece of property that we go to. When we were going up the road to this property, and I think I sent you the photos of the footprints and of how far apart these tracks were. And as we're driving up, I see something, my horses came charging out of the woods, and I saw something before I saw the horses, something leapt across the road and then ran into the woods. And then my horses came charging out, and where these tracks are there's no horses. The horses can't get there. It's private property. People are not allowed to go there. It's very few people are allowed to go there. So, and there's fences. The horses don't get over the fences. And so I said to my sister, I was like, did you see that? And she was like, yeah. I was like, let's go check it out. So we just started walking around the property and just taking multiple photographs. And we got this dog man. You can see the snout right there, and how the head comes up. He's kind of got his head tucked down at an odd angle, trying to blend in. And if you go to the next photo, that's actually him before it was enhanced. Oh, wait, no, this is a dog man on the same property. You can see the ear, the eye, and the snout coming out.
Here?
Yep. See, if you go up a little bit, you see the two black dots. Those are its eyes. And then you see the black like triangle. That's one of its ears.
No, I
and
see
then
it.
Yeah, and it's standing between two trees. It's peeking behind one tree. So this tree here is partially obscuring his other ear, but he was peeking out at us from behind that tree there.
What's the picture look like when it's not enhanced or like colored like this?
It was just a photo of in fact, I think I sent you a photo because that we zoomed in because I saw it and I was like, and then my friend enhanced it and brought it out even more. So if you skip to the next photo, nope, that's actually the dog man unenhanced.
Okay.
He's just kind of cloaked in there with the camouflaged in with the greenery there.
What's your take on dogmen? Are there good ones and bad ones? Like, I don't want to say there's bad Sasquatch, but there's ones that are friendlier than others. And
yeah.
What's your take on the dogmen?
I believe that there is good and bad in everything, just like there's good and bad in all people. And, you can either be the good or you can be the bad. But I do know that the government has done experiments with these creatures. And so I wouldn't want to come across one of those because look at the strength of a Bigfoot. Look at the strength of a dog man, right? If you can get one of those genetically enhanced, modified genetically, and gotten to a point where it can be controlled, you've got an army that would be unstoppable. Yeah. And I would not put that past the government to be doing. And that's all I'm going to say, because I just don't want them to show up on my doorstep. And
I don't put anything past them.
They're doing some shit. Yeah, they're doing some shady shit for real. Let's just be real. They're doing some shady shit.
They're doing pretty obviously shady. I mean, they're not doing as they're not even covert about it anymore. It's like it's blatant, like what they're doing. It's ridiculous. But you could go ahead and go to the next photo. Let me just ask you one thing.
You're talking about the brighter side of genocide.
You obviously feel, or at least I think you do, generally feel comfortable with Sasquatch when you're in the area, right?
Mhm.
You have the same level of comfort with dogmen?
Absolutely.
You do.
Absolutely. I've never, except for the skinwalker. Now that's totally different. Now this is another light spectrum of that same dogman photo. You can see the two trees and you can see him peeking out
Okay.
a
Yeah.
little bit more.
Yeah.
But
So-
that was on the other side of this pond
So
that I
skinwalkers and shapeshifters you mentioned, but Sasquatch have that ability too. I mean, they can be a raven, they can be an owl, they can even be a
yeah, but
they can even be a
they're not.
person.
Yeah, but those beings aren't dead after.
No.
Like if a skinwalker comes in contact with you, it will become you and you will be no more. Like you are going to be dead. It's going to wear your skin. It's going to be you. Shapeshifter's a little bit different. Both evil though. You don't want it. Same with Wendigo. Those things are hungry and they're cunning and I know somebody that is being systematically stalked out by a skinwalker out in California, an American Indian friend of mine. So there are some evil forest things out there.
Yeah. I don't
know
think
that
they're necessarily shapeshifting is evil though, because the Sasquatch do it.
well, angels do it too.
Yeah.
They can be in, they take any image that they want, like let's be real. So,
right.
Whatever any good being can do, you have the complete opposite in the other spectrum. They can do it too, but they're doing it for evil, not for good. Whereas, you know what I mean?
No, and I wasn't questioning you. I was just pointing out that it's not necessarily evil that can be done by both. Yeah.
Christ did that too. Christ did that too. And he would, after he died, he came back as a being, but none of his people, his disciples recognized him. And then they would have to take a little minute for them to, oh, you are who you saw, because he was showing them a different
well,
shape.
at that point too, he had just ascended from hell. He had already just spent 3 days in hell, and he had said to them, don't touch me because I've not yet ascended to the Father, because he knew that form at that particular point was corrupted, which is another reason why I think it took them a minute to recognize him for who he was, because he had not yet risen to the Father. That's another one of that same dog man there. But if you skip forward, think that's the original photo with that other dog man. Now, if you can zoom into the other side of that thing there, right between those two trees is where he's going to be.
Show me where. I've actually got the zoom on this one. So where would he be? Show me where. Down here somewhere?
Okay, you see those big two tall trees with the orb at the top?
Yeah, right here.
So scroll down. Right, it's either between those two trees or I think it's those two trees, or it's the two broken off trees onto yeah. Yep, so he's right in there.
In here somewhere?
Yep. And I kept getting all these orbs in so many of the photos too, and they weren't mosquitoes. It wasn't a particularly buggy day that day. So I'm thinking either fairy or something, maybe spiritual, because I have heard of, experiencing paranormal and cryptonormal, and I've experienced it simultaneously myself. So it could be any number of different things.
Well, that is one of the forms that the Sasquatch can take, is orb form.
Yep.
So it could be them too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
So here's the track that me and my sister came across when we saw that thing.
Kind of looks like a dog track, doesn't it?
It was huge. It was absolutely huge. And if you go into there was 2 tracks. There was a series of 2 photos of the tracks that we could find, and then it went into the brush. But if you go to the next photo, that's my nephew's hand, just so you can get a little bit an idea of what the size of it was compared to his little hand.
That's
so
still
that's
a track for a dog, for a dog man. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you go to the next one, this is the distance between the two tracks. So he's standing at one of them and my sister is standing at the other track.
Wow.
And then right behind her is the trail that it ran down into the woods. You could see where it had, kind of crushed the underbrush a little bit and you could tell something had just gone through there. But there was another another track in the grass by where she was standing that we couldn't get as good of a photo. I'm not sure if I sent you that one. I may have. Nope, that was just more orbs that I wanted to send.
Nice. Yeah.
Another orb. Like I get this stuff everywhere I go. Now here you can actually see the butt end of something ducking behind these bushes and it's very dark. Yep.
And obviously you stayed there after the fact and saw there was nothing there, right?
Yep. And the ground there was really hard and rocky, so there was no footprints to be had there, unfortunately. And then that's just a face
Right here?
of another. Yep. And that's a baby.
Baby
A
what?
baby sass.
Interesting.
Looks like you got a motion blur or energy blur on that.
And here's another one
Energy
right
blur?
here. That's not a sat. That's actually a dog man in that one. Yep.
Do the Dogman and Sasquatch, are they compatible? Or do they respect each other?
Now, some people say they won't hang out together. And then I know Scott Pace has actually seen Dogman and Sasquatch together. I know my friend Rick has gotten Sass and Dogman in the same areas simultaneously. So I think I don't think they bother with each other. I don't think that they have any ill will towards each other. I think they know that they're there and they're just like, hey, what's up? Like, we're neighbors. And, I don't think that there's like conflict unless there's one that's not good.
Yeah.
Then they may want to push that one out.
Yeah. Who do you see as further up the food chain, or maybe food chain isn't the right way to say it, but who is more evolved? The Sasquatch or the Dogman, or are they on par?
They both mind speak. They both are interdimensional. I've seen both enter and go out of portals. So I don't know. I mean, a Bigfoot is hella strong, and I imagine a Dogman is hella strong, and I wouldn't want to see the two of them go at it. Like, because I don't think it would be a good scene.
I'm
So
glad you talked about portals, because at some point, if you get a chance, talk about that.
There's another little sass. You can see his little coney head sticking up there.
Here?
He's hiding in the rocks. Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
You can go to the next one. Now this one, where did this is just so you start to see the tree bends, right? Now I started getting into a bunch of tree bends. And then if you scroll through, I think there's another one following this where I got a sass duck. Nope, not that one now. This one. Okay, now if you look at this one, this is right before the other sass. I was coming down this trail and it was kind of like there was a cliff here. There was like a drop off over here and there's like a stone pathway. This was off to the left.
Okay.
It's definitely sass. And then if you scroll to the next one, and this was all in the same day. See that guy hiding in the bushes there? There's a stone or a stump in front of him. Yep. And he's kind of hunched down like this, like you can't see me. But I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I can see you. You're not hiding anything. Like, look how big you are. You think those little bushes are going to hide you? I see you. And so so I got multiple action on that day. And I got to tell you, I get a lot of, anytime I go out, there's always a lot of activity. And I think they're just attracted to me, the energy that I put out, or maybe it's because I'm singing or toning. I don't know, but I always get a lot of activity every time I go out.
All of that and probably more too, but definitely all of that. This is a Sasquatch individual here? Or
Yep. Yep. Sass.
Same day as you saw the dog man.
Yep.
Okay.
And then that's a far
zoom
away.
in on this. Let me zoom in on this guy just to. Yeah.
See his little butt sticking out right there. And then he comes up and he's just kind of hunched, like trying to make himself as small as he can. And I'm just like, yeah, I see you. Like, you're not fooling nobody. So I got the one photo and then I zoomed in and got that photo. But that's the original photo where I first saw him. You can see him down there in the same little, right there. Yep. And I was like, yeah, I see you. And then I zoomed in. I was like, are you going to let me get another one? And then he let me get that one.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that was a great day. Got a lot of, and there's another little baby just sitting on the trail.
Okay. So,
and there's another one. If you zoom between those two trees, you'll see another guy standing between those trees in the circle there. See him peeking out, kind of cloaked, but he's there. And that's a dog man. But this is where I live. So I mean, we have just these enchanted, beautiful places to just be out in nature and commune with the forest people. And
yeah,
it's
so you connect with it, you feel these beings through, I mean, everything's energy, but you feel them energetically, obviously, right?
I feel them energetically, telepathically. I feel them. It's like, I can't go out in the woods and not know that they're there.
Right.
It's like it's like as soon as you go there, like as soon as one's anywhere in the vicinity, automatically, yep, there's something here, like time to pull the camera out and, yep. And I don't hide it. I don't make it like, try to make it like I'm not taking video. I mean, it's very obvious that I'm doing it. So if they didn't want me to get them, they wouldn't be there,
right. So, from my experience with Sasquatch I connect with, I can feel their energy and the personality in their energy. And so I know who's who. Mm-hmm. But what is the difference, basically from, in a general way, the difference between the typical Sasquatch and a typical dog man? How do they vary energy wise?
A dog man has a much higher, I don't want to say higher pitch energy, but it's more of like a hyperactive kind of energy, if you know what I mean, like a pacing dog type energy. And then the sass is more mellow, low key energy, if you know what I mean. It's more, okay, forgive the pun, but Sasquatch is kind of more like hippie energy, and Dogman is more like a night out at the club energy. Like
a night at the club. Okay, I got you. Yeah, yep. Yeah.
So it's very easily discernible, because it's like, if you're feeling mellow vibes, then hey, that's sass. But if you're starting to feel a little hyperactive and like, not wanting to stand still, it's Dogman.
Okay, I'm going to go to that little video, and then I want to ask you a few more things about and beans.
And the portals, if you can get to that.
And the vortexes, I totally believe in all of that stuff.
Vortex, twisters, aliens, anything that comes with the package.
Now, my dad talked a lot about, my dad used to work on the barges on the Mississippi River. And he would always come home with these stories of seeing Sasquatch on the shore. Sometimes they'd be ripping trees up by the roots and throwing them into the river. Sometimes they'd be throwing boulders at the barges passing by on the river. And one night my dad was out working on the barge, and it was evening time. It was dark, but there was a full moon. And on this particular night, he heard a roar, or what he called a roar, but it was probably more like a whoop. And he looked up on the bank, and there were 3 Sasquatch standing on the bank, and above them, hovering above them, was this huge UFO. So I've heard so many different theories on Bigfoot coming from the UFOs. I don't myself particularly believe that that's where they come from. I do believe that alien could be abducting them in some way, shape, or form, possibly. Somebody had a theory that they were trying to the aliens were trying to turn the Sasquatch evil so that they would forget about the good people. Don't really know how much I believe that either.
I look at it from a different, I think that they're both doing the same work. They're trying to awaken our consciousness. I mean, the benevolent ET races and the Sasquatch, I think that there's no difference in what they're presenting to us. So, and I have had experiences where I've seen UFOs and Sasquatch.
Yeah, me too. New York's a hot spot.
I don't believe they're in competition. I think they're working in unison, mostly. Myself, that's my opinion. But
well, think of it this way. Well, think of it this way. We have humans, right, and we live on planet Earth. Well, there's actually, I guess now 4 different space forces. There's a recognized one from the United States, and a dark one from the United States, a dark one from Germany, and so there's actually, and then there's ET people, right? There's ET people who are exactly like us. Well, there's ET people who are exactly like Sasquatch. In other words, there's Sasquatch UFOs with Sasquatch crews.
Yeah,
and it just but the Sasquatch who live on Earth, they're earthbound. This is their home. And the Sasquatch who are flying around in the UFOs are, they're space people.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I mean, I don't think Star Wars, the Chewbacca was just just some guy's imagination. I think there was some knowledge there, and Chewbacca.
And we've said that in many different shows before, that there's truth in these movies, these alien movies, there's truth, and look at legends, right? Old legends and myths and all these things, they all stem from a seed of truth somehow, or else how would you have all these different cultures with such similar stories about the star people, the big hairy man, the red-haired giants, all these, it all ties together somehow. The paranormal, the crypto-normal, the spiritual normal, dimensional normal, all that stuff, it ties in somehow. How? I don't know, but it's all connected in some way, shape, or form.
Well, there was actually a study done on the human contact with extraterrestrials. Big study, 600 questions, a huge thing, worldwide. And what they found was it was just one question out of all that was, who did you see on the craft? And they ranked them, because not everybody is aware of what's going on the craft. People who are awake and could see what's going on. It was the Sasquatch, large hairy human types, and small hairy human types were the
Mhm.
sixth most seen on a craft. And the
Mhm.
first being orb beings like the light beings, the light beings, the masters who are like just emanating light from inside them. That was number
Right.
one. Humans was number two. Then various kinds of tall and short gray type people. And then there was, I forget what the other ones were. There's some other ones, though, the insect kind of people. And then there was the Sasquatch people. So that's pretty astounding when you think about it. The six most seen. So either they're visiting, they're hanging out together, they're doing business together, or they're actually star people, Sasquatch.
Hmm. And here's the other thing, like, how is a Sasquatch, the exact same Sasquatch, suddenly going to come from being behind you to suddenly it's 300 yards in front of you, right? So either they can transport themselves or they're using portals or they're using some kind of interdimensional passage, you know,
There's a lot of different,
there's
yeah, there's a lot of different ways that can happen. I think my wife has actually seen one moving so fast that it had an energy signature, like, like in the following behind it. The
Mhm.
other thing is,
Like a trail, like a
yes, a
trail.
trail, an energy trail, and it was so fast. The other thing is that they can freeze us like Madame Tussauds or whatever, and we don't even realize it. And then,
Lost time and
yeah, well, yeah, I've had a lot of experience with that. There's definitely a thing. And then you wake up, and then suddenly what you thought was a moment was, like lost time. So,
yeah,
they can travel.
exactly.
There's so many different ways that they could do that. But
I was talking to a friend of mine. In fact, I think you guys had him on your show, James Wigginton.
but but uh,
He
but send them our way.
Yeah, he had an experience. Like, I'm not going to say names because, like, he won't say names and, that's his. But there was an experience where they had seen some kind of military helicopter, like an Apache or something. And another friend of his saw it. And it was really weird. And he just got this sensation that he needed to get off the tractor that he was on and crawl underneath. When he crawled out from underneath the tractor, it was 12 o'clock the next day.
Whoa.
Whoa. Yeah.
So he went under the tractor, like he lost all that time, has no idea what happened, where. All he knows is that when he came out from under that tractor, it was the next day at 12 in the afternoon. So there's a lot of stuff. Like, did he get put into a portal? Did he, and then, you have Sasquatch, you got one track and then they just stop. Like, you're following footprints and then all of a sudden the tracks just end. Where did it go? It didn't just miraculously disappear. It went somewhere. So it's either between dimensions or it's now in another area of the forest. So, and I think some of them the missing 411 could have possibly wandered into a portal. I've heard people getting trapped in them. So,
Or they were snagged by some of the dark forces that for off-world slave trade, which is a
exactly.
huge deal. If you're going to be a dark space force, you want to have outposts and manufacturing and all that kind of crap.
Yeah.
We're talking millions of people over the last 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I had a friend of mine, his name was Adam. I'm not going to say his last name, but his mother is the illegitimate daughter of John F. Kennedy, right? And her mom, his grandmother, actually had documents that Kennedy had left at her house of these agreements between alien and the government for certain technologies, what have you, that the aliens could do what they wanted to do via abduction, whatever. And the government got greedy and wanted things that they weren't holding up their end of the bargain, so to speak. They so
This is America. We don't honor any bargains. We haven't didn't do it. The
yeah,
American
just
Indians
ask the American Indian how well those treaties
and
worked out.
and the Africans when we set them free. That took them another 100 years to get almost up to normal.
Yeah, it's as far as we've come as a country, we still have so far to go, but it's like we need to just I think we need to take the power back as we the people and send the government packing, because obviously they don't know what the hell they're doing.
I think government is a broken system, and I think once we have that transition or whatever's going to happen, we're not going to have government like this.
No,
Completely.
no.
It'll probably be more like the old First Nations way or whatever, and whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not into politics so much or whatever, but this clown you got running the show there now. Oh my God, he's so transparent. I mean, like he's sending billions of dollars over to feed people and save people, whatever. He's his own country he's destroying it. Like
we have babies that cannot get baby formula. We have mothers that cannot get formula to feed their babies, but yet they're sending crates of baby formula into these camps where all these illegal aliens are. What the hell? Like, don't you care about the babies here that need to be? It's just the vets sleeping on the streets, the homeless veterans. The missing children, the homeless children. Like, why? What is wrong with taking care of our needy people first? We're in a shitstorm. Like, and how he doesn't see that we're in a serious shitstorm is just.
He's the cause of it.
No. He sees it. I think the New World Order, whatever. He wants the whole thing to crumble so that they can, whatever. But I don't want.
It's what we were talking about earlier about demons and entities and dark spirits and stuff like that. Is we in truth we have power over them because we are sovereign human in a human body.
Amen.
But the thing that we don't realize is the whole of government is now this demonic entity, and it is up to us to step into our power and say no more. You're not allowed to do this. You're not representing us. You're not part of us. We withdraw our consent from you, and so it's about us being in our power. Yeah. It's not some magical state. It's about us saying, "Hey, this is too much."
And I think we're on the verge of that happening.
Yeah,
very soon.
Like the dark before the light. Like, let's move on from the politics thing.
Yeah,
but I will just say one thing. The guy who's running the show right now, he's doing one thing: treason.
Exactly.
Treason against his people, and there's no way you can negotiate that he isn't. The baby formula thing and all this stuff. It's just like, dude, we're not buying your bullshit. And I'm not even an American. I'm Canadian, but well, we got our own issues.
Well, I'm Indigenous, and I still think it sucks, but what are you gonna do? Besides rise up and take a stand.
Well, that's the thing, right? If it wasn't so in our face, we'd just be going la-di-da-di-da, life's good, and let's just. But it's getting so in our face or whatever now that we're being forced to rise up.
And I think that there's a serious reason why God allowed and this is the last thing I'm going to say about it, but I think that there's a reason that God allowed Biden to be president, and it's to expose the depth of the corruption that is going on in this country. Trump tried to do it, failed. I mean, he exposed some of it, but that swamp was freaking deeper than that man could even, and now we're seeing how deep it goes. And if your eyes aren't open now, I feel sorry for you.
Wait till 2024. The remote viewers are already saying that the DC is gonna burn because right now it's the warm up to the 2024 elections, and you start hearing the politicians start chattering. None of them are talking about reforming the voting policy, right? So that means they're going to try the exact same BS that they did in 2020, and then everybody's now aware of it, and they're actually going to go burn down DC. So those people are digging their own grave.
Hallelujah.
Nobody's going to put up with it
Certainly
anymore.
are. They
Hallelujah.
certainly are.
I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? So I
Exactly.
want to get into some of their because I've experienced personally like all their supernatural abilities that people attribute to them. Like shape shifting, cloaking, mind speak, knowing what you're going to do before you do it. Oh, that's the other thing about time is that that I have proven to myself with and I'm not a researcher, I'm an experiencer, but they're very thorough in their lessons. They have proven to me over and over and over again that they already know what I'm going to think or what deduction or I'm going to come up with years before I do. So like time is in the now with them. They can access the past and the present in the now. And actually we can too, because they taught me a lesson of that. Can I tell you this story quickly? Can I bore you with one? This is a really quick story, okay? But this is a perfect example of that they can, and they taught my friend and I, this is exactly what was going on. So in any event, I'm not going to get into the full story because it's your show. But anyway, we had a sighting that day, and I was feeling them with the third eye energy, and then the little rock came out. So anyway, they were all around us that day, right? We were experiencing the whole day. So we're walking back to our car, and we're walking under a tree. And this is really, really important about the time thing and stuff, right? We're walking under a tree, my friend and I. And the other interesting thing is that him and I, we always seem to get the same reaction, the same feeling. Duration is the same, all that stuff. It's like we're connected in with what they're teaching us. But we're walking under this tree, and all of a sudden we looked up like this, put our hands up over our head, okay? Like something was going to fall on us from the sky, okay? We both did it like in unison.
Right.
But we didn't hear or feel anything at all. There was nothing. There was no precursor. There was no energy. There was nothing. But a split second after we did that, we heard this mechanical cat sound, and it sounded like, except it was mechanical. And I've heard a lot of I've heard a lot of strange stuff like that out in the woods. But the thing is that the point is we both knew it was coming before it happened.
Yeah.
Which tells us that we were accessing the future, and they were showing us through that lesson, that ability, and what they can do. And I'm getting, oh boy, I am getting hit up with this energy. So they're telling me what I'm saying is absolutely true. Yeah. See, sometimes like my thing with them is sometimes when I'm talking truths and stuff about them, that they really consider to be important, and they want, like put the explanation mark on it. They hit me up, full body rush of energy. And so they just did that now. And so, so we knew what was going to happen before it happened. And we both reacted in exactly the same way before it happened. So does that speak of anything else other than the time thing?
Yes, it does.
Exactly that. Amen.
Yes, it does.
Absolutely.
I was going to ask Odessa about, she has mind speak, right? You have mind speak, but there's also like a remote influence, which is one of the things that could explain Brian's putting his hand up. There's remote influence. In other words, there's this urge, not mental. It's just an urge to put your hands up, or an urge to look down and see something. And then there's a third level, which is called like implanting a thought. So when a thought comes to you, that feels like you, but it is not you. And that could be, let's watch this show, or let's be on this show, or let's go out to the woods now, or you know what I'm saying? That's thought placement. And I think when I see these guys like Steve at How to Hunt, right? That channel, and he's got like whatever it is, 100,000 people viewing and millions of views. I'm thinking, if those people understood about thought placement, Like what makes that guy do what he's doing? What makes us do what we're doing is this thought placement, this little poke, an urge that is not doesn't come to the level of consciousness. It's just like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, well, let's do this,
Yeah.
And
Yep.
how much that the Sasquatch are really in control of their own narrative and their own
Mm-hmm.
revelations.
That's a form of let me just finish on that. That's a form of telepathy too.
It is.
Because like my experience more than dozens of times, it's constant. I get a thought that's not mine. I wonder if
Yep.
yes, and I look right down below me and there's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll give me the answer a little further down the road. But it's definitely they're placing the thought so that I can get the answer. And it's just like
Yep.
it's undeniable.
Exactly.
Undeniable.
Exactly. I agree 100%. And in fact, I found a lot of evidence that way. I've just been walking and something told me, stop, turn around, look down, and boom, there's a track or
Yeah.
or I turn and I look up and there's something standing there. So, if they want you to see them, you're going to see them. If they don't want you to see them, you're not going to see them.
No. Like I'll be walking along a trail and I was looking for this spirit stump, this wolf spirit stump. And I thought, geez, I wonder where it is. I haven't seen it. And did I pass it? And all of a sudden, as soon as I had that thought, I noticed a significant glyph on the trail, which is their stick writing thing.
Yep.
Right where that glyph was placed, right off the trail, directly beside it was the stump I was looking for.
Yep.
That kind of thing, right? So.
Yep. Exactly.
Did you want to look at? Go ahead. But
no, I was going to say, did you want to look at that video? Because there's a perfect example
Oh,
of
yeah,
something
yeah.
I
close.
do want to look at that video, and then I want to maybe get into some of the stuff.
Also, you got a little thing, a message from Darkwoods Cryptid Project, and he says, Odessa, also tell them about our group, so you can warm us up.
Yes, definitely. I want y'all, if you haven't subscribed, go subscribe to Darkwoods Cryptid Project on Facebook. And we also have a YouTube channel. There's a link right on the Facebook in the announcements on that page where you can go and subscribe to his YouTube channel. We've got a great show. And I got to say, the one thing that Rick does that he analyzes every single piece of evidence to make sure that what we are presenting is always top notch, so that when you're looking at it, you know exactly what it is that you're looking at. So he just really is a good guy, great investigator. Please come and join our group if you haven't done so yet. Please join our group for sure.
I wanted to front load this video, and to me, this is one of the world's best videos of a what do you call it, a cloaked Sasquatch. Maybe the second best, because the one that Barb Soup made was the guy was in the woods and it was kind of clear as day. That was pretty spectacular, but this one is pretty much indisputable. There's no other thing that it could be.
Yeah. Should we run it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what we're looking for, people, is there's an obvious, looks like a bipedal or something standing up here, some kind of energy messing around with a truck. And then we're going to see a little fox come out and do some funky stuff. And then
that blob actually set off my motion sensor cameras. So,
look at that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty spectacular.
And you can see that the truck is crystal clear and the blob is not.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Did this fox look at him before he looked like he almost...
I think he did. Like in one of these enhanced versions, you can actually see there's eye shine right next to the bumper of the truck. Yeah.
Let's see if he looks over at... Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I think he noticed, because if you look at the last video I sent you two. In one of them, you see eye shine, right? So to me, and it's low down to the ground like the fox was. So I think the fox was far enough out of view before he set off the motion sensor light. And I think he was originally going to go down beside the truck where that cloaked figure was, saw it and said, yeah, I'm going to go back up and I'm going across the driveway. And we have food out that we feed the animals with. He didn't touch it that night. There's never food left in the morning. And all of it was there. And I did check all the cameras to make sure there were no spider webs, no bugs. So all of that got debunked. So whatever's there, I can't explain it except for cloaked something or other.
Well, you said you would slow down after 2 hours. It's 2.5 hours now. I don't want to overstress your
yeah.
kindness.
I gotta get going because my husband's waiting to cook dinner, and if I don't get off this, he's gonna start harping at me in a little bit, I'm sure.
Okay, well, that's perfect in a sense. We'll just watch this again. That's perfect in a sense because I had a lot more stuff I wanted to ask you, which tells me we're probably going to have you back on again.
I would be more than happy to come back on. I enjoyed it.
Maybe your partner from the Dark Woods Project too. Maybe get him to do a twofer.
Absolutely. Rick has got some great, he's one of the guys that I told you had some really good evidence of a cryptid, a dogman and Sasquatch in the same day within 100 yards of each other. So, I mean, he's got massive amounts of activity on his property. Great guy, very humble dude. I'd love to get y'all connected.
Did you want to spend just another 5 minutes on this video? Because you had some thoughts that we were going over before, remember?
Yeah.
I was saying that Sasquatch can have pets.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Wolves and stuff and different animals that they seem to be their pets. And I'm wondering, do you think that fox might have fallen into that category or?
I have never even thought about that, but I have seen videos of people's cats sitting in the yard, and then this hairy arm, this thing bends down, picks up the cat, disappears, and then you'll see a couple of seconds later he comes and puts the cat back. And the cat is not terrified. The cat ain't freaking out. So obviously they're not this pet killing, he picked up the kitten, played with the kitten, and put the kitten back down, so.
Yeah. Well, I
have heard of dog man stealing dogs before, so
and bringing them back.
No, taking them. So I don't know if they took them to keep them forever as a pet, or if they ate them. I don't know, but so you never know. But if I would be more prone to believe that Sasquatch definitely has pets. I mean, come on, you live in a forest full of animals. How could you not
Yeah. Well, I mean, I had two little Chihuahua dogs. They used to stop in the middle of the path. They'd go back to back and they'd be barking at something that they were seeing, but their tails were wagging. Yeah. Definitely were friendly. They knew they weren't scared of them, and they knew who they knew the Sasquatch, basically. As a matter of fact, the dog that I had that I just lost recently, they actually took him a couple of times and were playing with him, which actually was not something that I was all that fond of, because I thought I thought, is my dog gone? Mm-hmm. but they brought him back. And I've also heard of other people like my friend Arla Collette. Have you heard of Arla?
I may have. I'm not quite sure. The name sounds familiar, but I can't say for 100% for sure that I know her or I don't.
That's not important. But the point is that she had a dog that it would go and play with the Sasquatch all night and whatever, and then it would come back the next day all tuckered out or whatever. But they definitely can have a relationship with our pets and other animals. So that's interesting.
I believe it. I believe it for sure. Okay. But like I said, y'all, I appreciate you so much, having me on, and I'd be more than happy to come back at another time. And
we'll do a round table or something too, or something.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm going to talk to Rick about doing a show with y'all too, because
that'd be good.
Yeah, he's definitely good people.
You guys have the? Can you guys? Well, you can share.
Got 178 comments. That's outstanding.
Share screen
A
on
lot
your-
of comments.
Awesome.
You can share.
What was that, Brian?
You can share screen on the show.
He can.
Okay, yeah, because if I'm coming on, my stories are much more compelling when I have, because I have the photos to kind of
Right. Right.
into stories and stuff. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. We'll come for sure. So
Absolutely.
and like I said, I had a bunch more questions for you, so we will address them on another time. But I would like to thank
Absolutely.
you on behalf of myself.
You got a request for your reptilian story. So that'll have to be saved for another day.
I'll definitely tell that story for sure. And I'll actually send you the photos because I didn't send you the photos of that, but I'll send you the photos of them that I got.
Okay.
And they were,
yeah. So we definitely have you back in some capacity. So let me wrap it up and say on behalf of Port Cunningham and the world's handsomest man, Frank Oliver Blaines. This has been the show.
Pork and beans in the can, pork and beans in the pan.
Man. Pork and beans. Damn, we
We
love
love pork and beans.
handy, handy,
Dandy, dandy, dandy.
handy. In a can, in a pan, in a. See, I never remember the words.
Man,
In a bowl.
we love pork and
Oh
beans.
man! Thank you, Odessa.
You have a good night, you guys. It was great. It was a pleasure being on your show.
Can we sing on your show?
Yeah, absolutely. I sing on my show, so
Okay. I just want to know the rules because I might get
Hey.
overboard. So I want to know.
it's all good. We roll.
You got a lot of friends in the comments. Go say hello to them on your way out or
Thank
after
you.
dinner. After dinner.
It was
I
so
will definitely
it was so
take a
nice.
look at the comments and address each comment and all that good stuff.
It was so nice meeting you, and it was our pleasure to host you on the show. So thank you, and we will see you all next time. Thanks everybody for stopping in. And
Bye, everybody.
oh, by the way, if anybody wants to check out my stuff, I've got a YouTube channel, and it goes into all the woo. I mean, I just tell it as it is because if I'm representing them, which I do, I won't get into that, but that's, basically that's what I do. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm not going to water down anything because I think I have a reputation or something. But anyway, it's called SASQUATCH BC, the true story, / pork and bean show. And that's on YouTube. And I got like 350 or 360 videos or something on there. So
Ooh, sweet.
please check it out.
This is our third year doing this, and we do almost exclusively people who are friends with Sasquatch or have, obvious paranormal interactions with them. So we don't really do researchers that much. It's just people who are connected to Sasquatch.
Yeah, you know what? I'm proud of the fact that because of the fact that I feel them in my heart and whatever, and I feel them as a beautiful people. I'm very proud of the fact that in 3 years that we've done this, we have never promoted any doom and gloom or fear or monster theories. We've always presented them in their true light as teachers, spiritual people, evolved beings, and friends. And yeah, they like that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. There's the old the energy thing going on again.
I call them archangel class earth spirits. They're some of the highest spirits that are on earth.
Yeah. All right. Odessa, I can see that you're I can always tell when somebody's saying, when's this gonna be over?
No, I'm just waiting for my husband to open the door and be like, are you done yet?
Okay. See everybody. Thanks for showing up, and we'll see you next time with another great show. And Odessa, you are definitely coming back.
Push the button. Push the button.
Absolutely.
Bye.
God bless you guys. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I love you so. Don't you know? I wanna be your play. All the buttons coming down. Take my phone. Hot and high, hot and high, hot and high. For the tummy, oh my, love a big old thing of pork and beef. Goody, 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 goody. Love it, love it, love it. In the tummy. Love baby, love high, love ooh, love why. I love me some bowling rain. Don't you know you gotta need that feed. You got to have some off and blame. Bowling rain. I'm gonna holla bowling rain. Mashed potato, oh. Have it now, don't wait for later. Mighty high. Come get your health and come see me soon. Come on back and mighty high. Do it all again real soon. I love you so.